Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. If you are new here, my name is Darby. I am a mom to two girls. I have a 2-year-old daughter and then I just had my baby 6 weeks ago. Today I'm going to be talking about all things postpartum. Fun topic, I know, but I feel like it is something that needs to be talked about. And more importantly, I'm going to be completely open and honest and real about postpartum and sharing all of the fun stuff with you guys because I feel like it's just very helpful. I watched a lot of these types of videos when I was pregnant with Harper because I really wanted to prepare for after birth and really know what to expect. It's more helpful to watch videos like this than people kind of like glamorize things. I feel like everybody's so excited to post like pregnancy stuff and then they have the baby, but a lot of times they kind of just brush over postpartum and the struggles. So I'm going to be sharing all of that with you guys. So I'm going to be talking about bleeding, discharge, breastfeeding, cracked nipples, all that fun stuff. So just a warning, that's going to be talked about and shared today. I wrote everything down to kind of like jog my memory on a few things, especially those first few days postpartum and my time in the hospital. I am going to be talking more about myself and postpartum, not necessarily stuff to do with my baby. I actually just had my 6-week postpartum appointment this morning, which is why I'm sitting down and filming this video. I wanted to have that appointment first before I came on here, just to know that I'm like clear and everything's good. Everything healed perfectly down there, so that's not an issue. And yeah, so now I am back to normal pretty much, I guess. I can work out now, which is exciting. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with day 1, which would be my first day having my baby, moments after birth. So right after I had Hazel, I had a natural birth, by the way. So I had an epidural, but I literally got it 15 minutes before she was born. So it did not kick in at all when I was giving birth. The only thing that it might have helped with a little bit was like the stitches and stuff like that. I didn't really feel that happening. I don't know if that was the epidural or just maybe I was just like numb down there from pushing out an 8-pound, 11-ounce baby naturally. I don't know, but I did not feel the stitches at all. I had a 1st-degree tear, but honestly like wasn't that bad. My doctor said it wasn't too bad. There was a little bit of stitching on the outside, but it was mostly internal stitching. Right after I gave birth and everything, within 20 minutes, I fed Hazel and got her to latch and everything. And then we just spent some time together. My husband got to hold her. We did like skin to skin and stuff. And then within 2 hours, I was supposed to move up to my postpartum room. It took a little while to get moved up there because the epidural kicked in literally in my right leg. Like I could move every other part of my body but my right leg for some reason. So I was having a lot of trouble with trying to get out of bed. And I was supposed to pee before I left that room and I couldn't. So we just went up to our room. Since I couldn't pee down in the labor and delivery room, I was supposed to go up there. I don't remember exactly like the time frame of when I finally did. I didn't feel like I had to pee, but after maybe like an hour of being up there, I decided to go. I was supposed to call the nurses in before I went because when I had Harper, the first time I got up to go to the bathroom after birth, I fainted. So everybody was like, you need somebody to help you just in case that happens again. So I called the nurses up and we got up to go. And I guess I waited too long and my bladder was so full that it caused a lot of pressure and I literally was like bleeding everywhere. Fun stuff. Like I said, I'm just gonna be completely honest in this video. So that was fun. It looked like a crime scene, like all over the floor. And then I went, everything was fine. There was no like pain or anything crazy like that. One of the fun things that you may not know, and I don't think that I actually knew this before I had Harper, is that when you're breastfeeding, a lot of times you have contractions when you're feeding. It actually encourages your uterus to contract and shrink back down, which is a good thing, but it can also be very painful. I also learned this pregnancy during a lactation course that every baby that you breastfeed, those contractions become a little bit more painful and last a little bit longer. So those contractions every single time I breastfed were definitely not fun for me. I also feel like because I had a natural birth and labor, I was just getting like PTSD from the pain and I just was so in pain during my labor and delivery that I just like didn't want to feel any more pain after that. So that was like a huge struggle for me. I remember just like sitting there feeding and feeling like I was in labor all over again, and it was like giving me anxiety. Every time you have those contractions too, most likely you're going to bleed more. So that's also fun. You're sitting there and you just feel like a gush, and yeah, it's not the most enjoyable thing, to be completely honest. So that first day in the hospital, most likely you will have people in and out of your room all the time, which can be kind of frustrating because you're just trying to figure out things with your baby and you have so many people coming in and out of the room and kind of interrupting that. And with Hazel, she had to get a blood sugar test 3 times in the hospital. I think it was before every feeding because she was a larger baby. Like I said, she was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. So every single time before I did a feeding, I had to call the nurse in and they had to check her blood sugar and do like a little prick. And then I would feed her, and then they just made sure that those kept rising. We had to get like 3 positive ones in a row, and then we were good after that, which we did. Another thing is they come in and check your vitals every few hours. So between me and Hazel, for me, that's basically just like keeping up with pain medications. They give you like stool softeners, and then they'll come and like press on your belly and kind of see like how your uterus is shrinking down and kind of encouraging that blood to come out, which is not fun. So another thing that was a little bit of a struggle those first couple days or so was breastfeeding. I feel like it started out like fine. The first time that we practiced and everything, her latch was really good. Everything seemed great. I'm like, yay, a positive breastfeeding experience this time, because with Harper, we definitely had like some ups and downs. It was like a roller coaster. So I just like really wanted a super positive experience this time. And after the first couple of feeds, I started noticing that I was getting like more and more sore, which is normal. You're gonna be sore in general just because you have a baby latching onto your nipples all the time. So there is going to be some initial soreness with the latch, but it should be kind of like pain-free after that. So I did expect that, obviously. But after, I want to say maybe it was like the 3rd or 4th feed, I noticed that my nipples were bleeding, and I never experienced that with Harper. So I knew right away that something was wrong. She wasn't latching correctly. And I talked to the nurse and she was like, that's normal. And I knew that it wasn't because the lactation course that I did was like, if you're having any sort of like cracked or bleeding nipples, there's a problem with the latch most likely, and that's not normal. That's the problem, is that like nurses and stuff, and even like lactation consultants in the hospital, like they're all gonna tell you different things, and that's kind of hard. I decided to go with my gut and talk to a lactation consultant. After the nurse said that, I kind of just kept going with it and just expected it to kind of like go away on its own. And as the day went on, I feel like it was just getting like worse and worse. All around that first day, because my birth was mostly natural, I did feel pretty good, which is completely different than what I felt with Harper. I was able to get up once my epidural wore off and kind of like walk around. I did feel like extremely like weak and a little bit lightheaded, so I didn't push it too much, but I definitely was up and kind of like walking around. With Harper, like I literally didn't get out of bed those entire like 2 days in the hospital, besides to like go to the bathroom and shower. I was just like, felt like I got hit by a truck. This time I felt a lot more like energized. I felt pretty good. I felt really good like mentally, physically, all over, just like really good, because I think it was unmedicated and that helped a lot. But day 2, I'll kind of talk about like the nighttime of day 1 going into day 2. So Hazel was sleeping so good all day long. We just did like a lot of like feeding, skin to skin, cuddling, and it was just like such a good day. And then around 9 o'clock, we decided to kind of like go through the bedtime process and feed her and put her down for bed. So we woke her up to feed her, and the second we tried to put her down, she just did not want to go to sleep. I think we fed every hour until midnight, and she was awake the entire time and just like not happy. Of course, that's how it is. And we wanted to get some sleep because we were up at, well, at least I was up midnight the night before I went into the hospital when I was in labor. So we were definitely wanting to get sleep. Hazel did not want to sleep. We finally got her down at midnight, and then I think we woke her up at like 4 because we had a check at 4:30 a.m. for Hazel, because they're supposed to get checked 24 hours after they're born, and she was born at 4:22 a.m. on the 21st. So the 22nd, she got checked at 4:30 a.m. So I woke her up to feed her then. So that was like a pretty good stretch. I think we got 4 hours of sleep that first night, which if you've had a newborn, you know, sometimes like that's good. But yeah, definitely tired. Second day in the hospital was pretty good. We got woken up at 4:30 a.m. for that check. When that nurse came in, I told her that I wanted to talk to the lactation consultant, because at that point, breastfeeding was just so painful, and it was starting to make me like emotional, because I was just like really upset that it wasn't going as I wanted it to go. So I told her I wanted to talk to the lactation consultant before we left that day to kind of address the problem and see what the issue was. That day, we also went through like all the other checks with Hazel before we left. The lactation consultant came in at like 9 in the morning, and I kind of explained to her what was going on, showed her like what my nipples looked like, and she watched Hazel latch on, and she was like, her latch looks great, everything looks fine, it looks like textbook. And I was like getting frustrated, because I'm like, something is not right though, like why am I feeling this type of pain? So she literally just gave me some nipple cream. It was like this like one from Medela, and then these little, I forgot what she calls them. She called them like soothies or something like that, and I thought she was talking about that pacifier, but it was like these little like hard shell things that you put on so it prevents like your clothes from rubbing against them. Honestly, like that wasn't some miracle cure that made me feel better. So I did use those and try, and then she also gave me this little like mask thing that you put on. It was like a clear little pad thing that you put on, and it had like some medicine in it to help. I used that, and again, like it didn't really help that much, and she wasn't that much of a help, so that was a little frustrating. Right after we finished with her, we had our pediatrician appointment, and then my appointment with the OB. He literally didn't even check me at all. He kind of just like asked me how I was feeling. I told him I felt great. He wrote me a prescription for like a really strong dose of ibuprofen to help with the contractions. But honestly, I didn't even fill it because I didn't need it once I left the hospital. My pain was manageable, and I didn't really want to take anything. Hazel got her pediatrician check, and that's when we learned that she had a tongue tie as well as a slight lip tie, and that's when I realized that that was causing me the pain. We got to go home that day. I think we came home around like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and it felt so good to be home, but it was just like also like kind of like weird, like everything just felt weird coming home with like a new baby and everything. Day 3, we woke up early. I remember I think we got like not the best sleep. Like she was waking up to feed, and we were just like really tired. We had Hazel's first pediatrician appointment that day, as well as Harper's 2-year appointment, so that was a little bit crazy. That appointment was literally 2 hours long, and we got up, got ready for the day. That was like my first time showering at home. I showered the day before in the morning in the hospital, and showering at home was just like, I was getting like PTSD from showering at 1 in the morning, having contractions that were like 2 minutes apart, but it felt good to shower at home. One of my big things for postpartum, because honestly, going through postpartum, bleeding, sweating in the middle of the night and everything, you just feel so gross in the morning. My biggest thing was that I wanted to wake up and shower every single morning, so that is something that I made sure I still do to this day. Like I need that time to shower and just like feel clean and good for the day. So that felt really nice to shower, put on some makeup, get ready, get dressed, and like leave the house and kind of feel a little bit normal. Our pediatrician appointment, we had her tongue tie clipped, and that was like a little bit traumatic. She literally was like bleeding everywhere. It was concerning. it like literally didn't stop for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then finally it did. You could tell she was definitely in pain, but that's when breastfeeding became a lot easier and kind of took a turn. She got that done. We fed in the doctor's office, and she latched on so good and was literally gulping milk down. It was such a day and night difference, so that was really positive. With that being said, my milk also did come in that day on day 3, and I was really glad that she was starting to latch correctly because I was so engorged, and I just remember my boobs felt huge. They were so like rock hard, and I was like so scared of getting like clogged ducts and stuff. So I was just trying to feed her as much as I can, which was good because she was cluster feeding a lot those first like couple weeks or so. I felt like I was literally feeding her every hour, but it was honestly good for both of us. That being said, my nipples were definitely still like hurting a lot, and I wasn't experiencing any like new bleeding from them, but they were kind of just like scabbed over, and that took forever to heal because I never got the chance to heal because I was just like feeding so much. So I feel like that finally went away around like 10 days or so. But yeah, overall like her latch was just like so much better. The engorgement lasted about 2 to 3 days, and every day I would notice it was getting a little bit better. But I remember like that was like exhausting. I was just like, I want this to go away. I want to be normal again. One thing I will say, and I'm also going to talk about like the mental aspect of postpartum in this video as well, is that I just felt like that first week or so being home from the hospital, I felt like I was in such a haze, and I don't even know how to completely describe it, but I just felt like so, like I felt like happy, but I just felt so like off. Like everything just felt so different. Like life was just like so different. I really don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like I was like in this haze, and after about a week I kind of felt like normal again. Like I said, I was also very like emotional, especially like that next day being home and everything. I was definitely a lot more emotional. I cried a lot more. Every time Hazel was like inconsolable and crying, I would just cry because I was so like overwhelmed and didn't want her to cry. My bleeding lasted like around 4 days where it was like heavy bleeding. I remember like on the 4th day, it kind of started to like take a turn, and then at around 11 days is when it really just kind of like went away. It kind of turns into like a lighter pink color. I think it's called like lochia or something like that. And around 11 days is when that started to kind of like go away, and it kind of turned into like a brownish white color, and it's like a really like thin consistency too. And I barely have that to this day. I'm almost like completely normal again, but I still do have like a teeny bit of that throughout the day. I wrote on here on day 5, well day 4 actually, we left the house to go do something, and I remember trying on my jeans and they did not fit. I could not zip them up, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I just thought I would try. And then day 5, I remember trying again and they fit me. So my belly size when I was day 1 in the hospital, I shrunk down really fast this time. I don't want this to be any sort of like comparison. Do not compare yourself to me or feel bad like if you don't experience what I'm experiencing. I feel like I have to preface that this was like my own personal experience, and a lot of people will experience a lot of these things, but not exactly. So this is like me telling you my experience. So my first day, I posted it in my birth vlog as well as on Instagram showing what my belly looked like. I probably looked like I was about like 24 or 26 weeks pregnant at that point. It's definitely like a weird feeling. Like it feels good, like you feel like a lot lighter, but your belly's definitely like really like squishy and soft. It's kind of strange and just feels like hollow. It's a weird feeling. I'll go ahead and insert pictures here. Day 5, I was able to put those jeans on, and I remember the second I put them on, I just felt so like normal. Like I felt like my normal non-pregnant self again. I remember just like looking in the mirror and being like shocked. I was like, who am I? Like it was just like so weird to go from like having this belly to putting on jeans and looking in the mirror and just like having like no belly anymore. It was crazy. I also posted a picture at some point around this time of what my belly looked like. So you could see like in jeans, it looks like a certain way. And then in some photos, in some angles, you could see that I still had it. So I'll go ahead and put a picture here. I don't remember exactly what day that was. It was sometime in the first week. So another thing I wanted to mention that not a lot of people talk about is like postpartum sweating. That is just like such a weird thing that happens where your body is just trying to release all those hormones and release like a lot of the fluid that you're retaining during pregnancy. So not only are you bleeding and getting rid of everything, but you also sweat a lot. Those first like 2.5 weeks, I would just wake up and like, especially like my chest right here, I would just be like sweating. And like it wouldn't necessarily be like super duper hot or anything, but I would just be sweating. And that pretty much went away at around 2.5 weeks. Occasionally, if I'm wearing like too many blankets, sometimes I'll wake up sweating. Another thing that wakes you up sometimes is milk leaking. Literally last night I woke up, so Hazel went to bed, she fought it for a while. She finally went to bed at 9 and then she woke up at like 3, which is good, to eat, and she fed on one side, fed on the other for only like a few minutes and then fell asleep. So this boob got a little neglected. By the time I woke up, I woke up for my appointment early at like 5:30. My whole entire side of my shirt was just like drenched. I like looked in the mirror and it was still just like leaking. So that's fun. That happens. That is why I literally am like, I need to shower every single morning because I just wake up and I just feel gross, even now to this day. Another thing that I forgot to mention that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about, but I'll mention it just to be like honest, and I talked about this in my last postpartum video. Like I mentioned, they do give you stool softeners in the hospital, and everybody's experience is going to be different. My first experience with Harper going to the bathroom for the first time was like not even a big deal, and it was the same this time because of like the stool softener. I also heard people saying to take it once you get home. I only took whatever the hospital gave me, and I don't even remember the exact day that I went to the bathroom. It was probably like day 3 or 4. It took a while, but once it happened, it wasn't like this big deal. It was not more painful than birth or anything like that. It happened and it was fine. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Some people do explain that it was more painful than birth, and if you've experienced that or you do, like, I'm so sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to mention a few products that I love during postpartum. I feel like this is pretty simple. I didn't use a crazy amount of products because I felt like my experience overall was pretty easy, honestly. Like I mentioned, I did have a 1st-degree tear and stitching, but I didn't have like a lot of the symptoms again that I had with Harper. I never had any like itching or burning or anything like that. So I feel like there were some products that I had and I maybe used like the first day or 2 and then didn't use after that. So I'm gonna go ahead and share all of them. I'm gonna start off with breastfeeding. I just have like 3 products to talk about because I will do a whole separate video on breastfeeding and like must-haves and everything like that, kind of like this video. So first is nipple butter. So when I mentioned earlier that the lactation consultant gave me that one from Medela, I did already have this one, but I decided to just use whichever one she recommended. I ended up switching over to this one maybe like on day 4, and this one actually worked a lot better. It's more natural too, which is one of the big reasons why I wanted to use it, and it has great reviews, but I actually did like this one a lot better, and I feel like it really helped with the healing process with the cracking and stuff, honestly. So this one's really awesome. Another product that I used those first couple days when I had the engorgement, this is from Freedom Mom. So it's like a little massager. It heats up as well. So when I was feeding Hazel and I felt a lot of that engorgement, I would just kind of like work this to really like break up the milk and just let it come out a lot easier and help with that like engorgement pain. And I think this did help a lot. I didn't get any clogged ducts or anything like that, and I was definitely worried about that the first couple days. Another thing is the LV pump. I have the double one. The other one is drying right now because I just used it the other day. I haven't used this a whole lot, to be completely honest, but there are times where I will use it. I definitely have a good milk supply, so there are times where Hazel will only feed on one side, kind of like last night where she fed on one side and then she didn't feed as great on the other, and in that case I will pump a little bit to kind of help relieve that so I don't get any clogged ducts. This is awesome. I love this. It's super quiet. You can just like put it in your bra and you can do things when you have it, which is really cool. And then for postpartum, so one thing that I showed in one of my baby watch vlogs was this little holder right here for all of my products. So this was really helpful. I filled this up with everything and kept it in my bathroom, so it was right there ready to go when I got home from the hospital. And then as I use stuff, I would just refill it with the stuff I had under my sink. In there, first thing is the Freedom Mom Peri bottle. This one is a lot better than the one that the hospital gives you. That one is usable. It's fine if you need to use it, but overall, this one is a lot better because you can angle it better and really like get the water in there. I know that a lot of people like use this just to kind of like help with the pain, like the burning feeling of peeing. But to be honest, like I use this a lot too for like cleaning down there. Like if I'm just being completely honest, like when you're bleeding and stuff, I would just use this to like spray and like clean everything off. So I really like this one a lot. I would just fill it with some like warm water and then use this every single time I'd go to the bathroom, mostly for like cleaning because I didn't really experience any pain when I went to the bathroom. Thing is this perennial healing foam. I didn't use a lot of this, but it did work pretty good. Like I said, I feel like I didn't really need this that much. It kind of helps like cool a little bit, and it does kind of have like a nice like foamy sensation. So when you put this on, like it does feel like good, I guess. And then to go along with that, I have the witch hazel or Tux. I already used all of those up, so I was using what the hospital gave me. I'm not using any of these products now, by the way. I'm like completely good. But I wish that I would have used these a lot sooner because these ones they're completely different. These don't really have like a cooling sensation, but they do feel kind of like cool when you first put them on, literally just like temperature wise, I guess. But I do like these a lot. I would just use like 3 of these to line my pad, but these actually have like a cooling sensation. So I would describe it like when you use like, I don't know if you guys have ever used like the tea tree body wash from Trader Joe's, how it has like that cooling feeling, or like the peppermint one from Dr. Bronner's. That's kind of like the cooling sensation. And I actually really like these a lot. So these are witch hazel as well, and they're actually like long, full coverage, like a pad, and you just like put these on and then you put this on over it. But these have that cooling feeling, so it just feels amazing. And then the next 2 products are really good, but I just didn't end up using them a lot this time because like I said, I didn't have any like itching or burning or extreme soreness. First one is Dermaplast. I used this like the first like couple days, and then I just felt like I really didn't need it. I did use this a lot more with Harper, but this time I didn't use it as much, but it does work pretty good. Next thing are these Ice Maxi Pads. I literally used this like one time. It was like really good, like I liked it, but I really didn't need it. So if you're like really sore down there after birth, I definitely would recommend these. But like I said, my healing process and everything, I was very fortunate, so I feel like I didn't need these too much. And then lastly, for like pads and stuff like that. So first thing that I really enjoyed, especially in the hospital, because they do give you those mesh underwear, but I know some people like them. I hate them. I really don't like the mesh underwear in the hospital. They're super like loose fitting. They're like see-through. They just look so bad and they feel bad. Like I feel like they're just gonna like fall off of me. So I got the Freedom Mom ones and they look like this. I loved these. These are like such good quality and they're super stretchy but still kind of like hold everything in. And yeah, I loved these so much. So I used these with the pads that the hospital gave me a lot, especially like during the daytime. I feel like it kind of just felt like a little bit normal to wear this when I would like go out places. So I loved these so much. I used up almost all of them. And then during like the nighttime, to prevent like leaking and stuff like in bed, I did use the like Always Discreet. These are like little diapers. These are not fun to wear during the day because it does feel like you're wearing a diaper. So that's why I did these when I had like heavy bleeding those first few days. And then I used these at night. but these are pretty good at nighttime. I don't have to like stress about like accidentally like bleeding everywhere. And then once my bleeding after 4 days, once it started lightening up a little bit more, I just used the like Always Infinity pads. I got these underwear off of Amazon and they are so perfect for postpartum. So I'll have everything linked below, but I love these a lot. They're also going to be like good like period underwear. This is what they look like. They have a pack that's all black, and then I got the one with like colors. I honestly think they're pretty cute, especially like people buy like granny panties for postpartum. I honestly thought these were like really cute. They're kind of like high-waisted as well, so they just feel like really nice, kind of like hold everything in. And yeah, I thought they were super cute. So I would wear these when I wore these pads, and then after about 11 days, I would say, I was able to just switch to like one of these and wear normal underwear. And now I am pretty much back to normal completely. I don't have to wear anything, which feels good. I'm like looking at all this and I'm like so glad that I am past it, but honestly it wasn't that bad. Great, you guys. So that is going to complete it for today's video. I hope you guys like this video and can appreciate my honesty and being real with you guys about postpartum, because it's not always glamorous and I feel like sometimes we need to talk about it. And I definitely want to help you guys out if you're about to have a baby and you don't know what to expect. I hope this can help you out so you're a little bit more prepared. I will have all of the products that I mentioned linked below for you guys. I definitely would recommend stocking up and doing like some sort of basket or something to keep in your bathroom before you give birth, because it's just a lot easier when you get home from the hospital. And all of Freedom Mom's products are just literally the best. Like every single product I have postpartum breastfeeding is all from them. It's just like easy to buy everything just from like one brand and get like the little kits and you're good to go. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. But with all that being said, I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!